Namaskar everyone. A very good morning to all of you. Thank you for taking out the time to join me today on this wet and rainy day in Delhi. It's certainly wet, but I think we are continuing to celebrate the birth of Lord Krishna. He was born today at midnight. We've celebrated Janmashtami. So thank you for taking out time and joining me today. I'm going to speak today on In Search of Happiness. And as the flyer rightly said, we all deserve to be happy. At least we are all looking for happiness, and each and every one of us has this tremendous desire to be happy. I would like to start by defining what happiness means. Some people believe one can be happy when one is able to achieve one's goals and is able to nourish the soul. Now, many people know the steps that they have to take to achieve their goals, but I'm not sure that so many people know how to nourish their souls. There are many people who think that having the latest model of a phone or a car will give them happiness. Well, to a certain extent, I would say yes, it does give happiness, but this kind of happiness is fleeting. The happiness evaporates into nothing when you see someone else, a friend of yours or a relative, who has got something even better. For example, a friend of mine bought, this car called a Fortuner. It costs around 40 lakhs, and he was very happy. That was the car he had dreamt of, and all of that. But just a few weeks later, his friend who lived next door bought a Porsche. His happiness just evaporated, just like that. And he was no longer happy with the Fortuner. It had to be something else. And in this way, we go on and on. Whether it's cars, whether it is designer clothes, whether, these are branded things, the desire to get more and more is always present. And yet, the happiness that comes with this is fleeting. So the question comes again. So what can one do? How does one search for happiness? So we will first look at the practical and tangible things one can do to maintain a positive frame of mind and to find happiness. Ask yourself, what is it that makes you happy? What is it that that gives you that feeling of being zoned out? It could be painting, it could be singing, it could be dancing, it could be doing your job. For example, I'll give you one example of mine. When I was a professor and I taught Spanish, as soon as I entered the class and started teaching, I got a high. I got a high that I didn't get, doing many other things. And I would completely forget all the problems that I had or that I was facing in those days as soon as I stepped into the classroom. And that high would continue to remain when I stepped out. And when I would meet someone, a friend who would say, "Oh, Taruna, how have you been? I heard that you're facing some troubles these days." And I would, my first reaction would be, "No, everything's fine." And then I would suddenly remember, "Oh, actually, I do have these problems at home, of someone being ill and not being able to recuperate." So do something that gives you this experience of being zoned out or zoned in, whatever you wish to say. Something that makes you forget time and space. And it obviously you get this feeling only when you are able to, or when you pursue something that you like doing. It could be reading a book, It could be taking a walk in the park. It is something that you enjoy, and you don't do it because others are telling you to do it. You do it because that activity gives you joy and happiness. So there will be people who are doctors, and they are doctors because they love treating people, they love making people better, and they are ready to face all kinds of hardships to practice this profession, whatever profession it is. It could be an actor, whatever. Still, there will be others who say that they are happiest when their loved ones are happy. A lot of mothers and wives, husbands, fathers, everybody, you know, those who give a lot of importance to personal relations, they say, I'm happiest when so and so is happy. When I see my family is happy, I feel happy. So, different things make different people happy. You will see in all this that that your happiness here is dependent on something that is external to you. For example, if I did not go out to teach, I would not get that high. And I might feel more bogged down by the problems I'm facing, right? If I say that I'm happy when my husband is happy, right? When my husband is unhappy, suppose he has had a bad time in life, or a bad time that day in office, and he is unhappy. So I see him, and since my entire source of happiness is him, I can't be happy. How wise is this? That we should give the control of our happiness in the hands of other people. If one wants to be eternally happy, one has to slowly find the actual source of happiness. So, what can we do to maintain and control our happiness? It is a well known fact that human beings are the most evolved of human species. Of course, when we think of some incidents that happen and that are happening, one would be bound to say that human beings are perhaps the worst. They are worse than animals because they do certain things for their own pleasure, irrespective of whether it is causing pain to another living entity. But let us not digress from what we are talking about, and let us talk about happiness. I think it certainly helps if you get in touch with who you truly are. The Upanishads say that joy is infinite. Joy is an expansion. Our consciousness expands when we do service. The human soul is happiest when we are in a state of expansion. So it is rather easy to do. हम ज़रा सी भी सेवा करें, ज़रा सा भी किसी की मदद करें, तो हमारे अंदर एक खुशी पैदा होती है, एक सुकून पैदा होता है, जो कि कुछ और करने से नहीं होता. ये सबसे कीमती चीज़ खरीदने से भी नहीं मिलती, इस किस्म की सुकून. So when we are able to give of ourselves, we feel a well of positivity in our hearts. We feel a warmth in our hearts, and there's a smile on our lips. It could be as simple as, helping an elderly person cross the street, someone you don't even know. Or suppose you're walking and someone's grocery bag falls and everything spills out. It could be as simple as taking time out of your busy schedule and helping that person pick things, put it back in the bag. This is all seva. ये सब सेवा है. Like, seva is also part of our tradition, and we see this even now. So many people are doing it, like our Sikh brothers and sisters who do seva in the Gurudwara. You know, एक सुकून मिलती है सेवा में. When more and more people realize this, when they experience this kind of happiness in helping other people and want to repeat that kind of experience, I am sure we will have much less misery, much more happiness in our world. I always say that the human spirit was meant to soar the skies and not be bogged down by emotional baggage, by the baggage of bad experiences or unpleasant experiences. It is in service that one finds satisfaction. Material possessions and achievements bring a joy, but just for that instant, and then that goes by in a flash. So many would ask, what then would bring us eternal happiness? In my limited experience, it would be connecting with our true spirit, connecting with our Atma. That Atma which is part of the Paramatma who we can call God, we can call a superior consciousness, we can call energy. You can call it many things, but it is the same thing. It is one and the same thing. At that moment, when one connects with the Atma, many veils of ignorance are removed, and we realize that we are part of a whole, and in every person, it is the same soul that resides. We are all part of a whole. Even the person who I find unpleasant, that person also has a pure soul. But probably that person's mind or that person's experience or his experiences have not been that pleasant. And as a result, he or she mirrors what is inside. Excuse me. So, when one realizes or when one experiences the richness of the experience of connecting with the Paramatma, with the superior consciousness, one experiences a bliss, an ecstasy that one would not have experienced earlier. The nectar that flows when we connect to the superior consciousness is sweeter and more divine than anything one has ever had. Our sages have said that those who have not experienced the yearning for the infinite, they don't know the depths that one is capable of feeling. That depth is not of this world. It is something that goes beyond all the depths or profoundness that we know of this world. When I was younger, I would say I had a gut feeling about this situation. I had a gut feeling that this was going to go right, that I was going to do well in my exams. The feeling that is described as the gut feeling is something that you feel deep in yourself, in the gut. The depth of the feeling that I am talking about when you connect with yourself, with your soul, goes much deeper than the physical body that I'm talking about. You feel it as the depths of an endless universe. Human beings in this day and age are caught up in the rat race of the 21st century. People are trying to manage half a dozen things at the same time. You find couples who are you know, running all the time, trying to manage 1,000 things at the cost of their own well being, at the cost of their own spiritual well being. So, what is it that one is doing in this rat race? One is ignoring the most precious relationships that one has. Um, one is not doing the things that gives one joy. But most importantly, one is ignoring one's own well-being. And from that well-being is a fountain. From that well-being comes all the positivity that you need to make this life joyful. And my intention here is not to judge anyone, not at all. It is just to make everyone take a pause and breathe. Actually, that's it. Just learning how to breathe. Inhale, retain, and exhale. Doing pranayam and then meditation leads one to a place of quiet in one's mind. When the body reaches that place of stillness, where the body doesn't even need to breathe, there, at that point, exist the possibilities of connecting to the soul. In the stillness of the mind, where everything is quiet, one can remain completely blank and connect to a superior consciousness within us. In the famous song by Kailash Kher, Maula Mere Maula, there is a line. He sings, मुझ में ही वो खुशबू थी जिससे तूने मिलवाया. That essence was always there in me, but you made me aware of it and you connected me to it. That is the absolute truth. And so many philosophers and mystics and sages have talked about this through the ages. हम सब खुशी और सुकून ढूंढते हैं और वो सब हमारे अंदर ही है, हम सब के अंदर है, कहीं जाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, वो खुशबू यही है. In a prayer written by one of the wisest philosophers India has produced, Adi Shankaracharya, he says, one of the lines is, Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. Adi Shankaracharya was born in the 8th century. I'll just tell a little bit to give a background for those who are not aware. So, Adi Shankaracharya was born in the 8th century, and Hinduism was in the decline then, and Buddhism was, growing. And at the age of 8, he renounced the world, he took sannyas. And at the age of 12, his Guruji told him that he could start writing commentaries on the scriptures that we have. So very often, the most commonly found text on the Vedas, the Upanishads, would be a commentary by Adi Shankaracharya. Adi Shankaracharya left this world at the age of 32. But by then he had gone from east to west, north to south of India 2 times over and established the 4 dhams that we know. So coming to the prayer, Chidanand Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham. Chidanand is a composite word made of Chit, which means mind, and Anand, which is bliss. Chidanand is a blissful mind or a blissful soul, and Shivoham, Shivoham. So this is what we are actually, pure bliss and consciousness. In the prayer, he takes off all the layers that we are made up of. Our mind, our ego, our intellect, the Panch Kosha, or the 5 sheets that each one of us have, emotions, all that we identify with. And he takes off all these layers, peeling them like an onion, until you get to the core, which is the blissful mind, which is the blissful consciousness, because that is what we are. I just want to share a little of, I will share the poem with you. It's called Nirvana Shatakam. And he says, I am not the mind, nor the intellect, nor ego, nor the reflections of the inner self. I am not the five senses. I am beyond that. I am not ether, nor earth, nor fire, nor wind. I am indeed that eternal knowing and bliss, Shiva, love and pure consciousness. Neither can I be termed as energy, nor the 5 types of breath, nor the 7 material essences, dhatu, nor the 5 coverings, the sheets, neither am I the 5 instruments of elimination, procreation, motion, grasping or speaking. I am indeed that eternal knowing and bliss, Shiva, pure love and pure consciousness. I have no hatred or dislike, nor affiliation or liking, nor greed, nor delusion, nor pride, nor haughtiness, nor feelings of envy or jealousy. I have no duty, nor any money, nor any desire, nor not even liberation. I am indeed that eternal knowing and bliss, Shiva, love and pure consciousness. I have neither virtue nor vice. I do not commit sins or good deeds, nor have happiness or sorrow, pain or pleasure. I do not need mantras, holy places, scriptures, rituals, or sacrifices. I am neither enjoyment, nor an object to be enjoyed, nor the enjoyer. I am indeed that eternal knowing and bliss, Shiva, pure love and consciousness. I do not have fear of death, as I do not have death. I have no separation from my true self, no doubt about my existence, nor have I a discrimination on the basis of birth. I have no father, no mother, nor did I have a birth. I am not the relative, nor the friend, nor the guru, nor the disciple. I am that eternal knowing and bliss, Shiva, love and pure consciousness. I am all pervasive, and am without any attributes, without any form. I have neither attachment to the world nor to liberation. I have no wishes for anything, because I am everything, everywhere, every time, always in equilibrium. I am indeed that eternal knowing and bliss, Shiva, love and pure consciousness. So, in each verse, Adi Shankaracharya reiterates time and again what it is that we truly are. And a prayer that was written in the 8th century, more than 1200 years ago, still reverberates just as much today, because that is what we all are, Shiva, a blissful consciousness. Now, for us to reach that state, that stage, is not easy. It is a journey, but we all will need to take it at some point or the other. But what this prayer does is it shows us what it is that we are and what it is that we can be once we establish a connection with the pure soul that resides in us. That pure soul that is part of each and every entity, living entity or non-living entity. I say even non-living entities because just because we don't perceive them as having life doesn't mean that they don't have life. Just because we can't see things doesn't mean those things don't exist. It just means that our capacity to perceive is limited. In the Mahabharata, when Arjun asks Krishna to show himself as he is, as the Lord of the three worlds, Krishna says, then I have to change a few things. I have to give you a divya drishti. I have to give you a yogic eyes with which you will be able to see me, because in your present human form you cannot see me. So our capacities as human beings is quite limited. So just because we don't see things, we don't hear things, it doesn't mean that they don't exist. Dogs hear sounds that we can't hear. So certainly that sound is there because the dog can perceive it and we can see that he perceives it. So at the end of it, it comes to the same thing. We are all born with pure souls and Atma. But over a period of time, we start accumulating experiences and emotional baggage which we don't know how to get rid of. Hence the soul, which sparkled brightly and vibrantly at birth, and I will call it, I'm going to give it a metaphor of a diamond. Yeah? The soul which sparkled like a diamond at birth gets covered with layers of unpleasant experiences and emotions and emotional states that we all go through. And as a result, that diamond gets covered in the grime of, it gets covered with the grime of our human experiences. Most of us don't know how to get these layers off, and our diamond gets duller and duller until we become just a shadow of what we were at birth. It is essential to get that diamond sparkling again. It is vital that we do so, because once we are able to do that, the experience of joy that we will experience, that we feel, is not comparable to anything of this world. Our Atma is part of the Paramatma, and our happiness lies in reconnecting with it. We all have known it before. We just have to go back, clean our diamonds, let it sparkle the way it should sparkle, and reconnect to something that we have always known, reconnect to a superior consciousness that we all are part of. Recognize that in each living or non-living entity, also there is a soul that we have to be aware of, and that in helping or doing a seva to that soul, we are offering our seva to the Lord, to the superior consciousness, because it is we are part of that whole. This Atma is part of that Paramatma, and when we can connect to the Paramatma, we experience bliss. And that, my dear friends, is the way that I know in my limited experience to experience resplendent happiness and eternal happiness. Thank you for listening to me, and thank you, Sanjeevji, for giving me the opportunity. Thank you, Everest Yoga Institute, for giving me the opportunity to share what little I know about happiness. If anybody would like to get in touch with me, you can get in touch with me on my email ID, which is my full name, Taruna Chakravorty, all in small letters, @gmail.com. Thank you so much and have a wonderful, blessed, and joyful day. Namaskar.